Hey, everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. Let's talk about compensation this week, or maybe we shouldn't. It's kind of the point I want to make in this What's Up Wednesday is I want to talk about talking about compensation with other people. Now, this is something that I have long been opposed to, and we actually have a discussion with each of our new hires about talking about compensation because I personally don't feel that anything good comes out of talking to coworkers about what you make and what they make. And I know that this is a somewhat controversial topic, but let's dive into it just a little bit. So, first off, my feeling, my opinion is that there's nothing to gain from finding out whether you make more or less than a coworker. If you make more, you feel great and they're upset. And if you make less, you're upset and they're maybe happy. But ultimately, as we look at kind of the changing landscape of employment, what we're finding a lot of states doing is setting laws that are requiring employers to post jobs with a salary range. And the reason for the salary range is usually to accommodate different levels of skills, experience, education, and knowledge. So you may see a range on a job. And I know in Washington State, it's required by law that you post a salary range on every single job posting. But you may see a range that says 70 to $105,000 or whatever that might be. And the reason for that range is, again, to accommodate the differences in what a candidate brings based on the role and the expectations of that role in the job description. So that's something to consider. Secondly, I think it's important to note that the importance of requiring posting salary data is that the regulatory agencies are trying to eliminate disparity across different factors such as gender, race, and a lot of other factors. But ultimately, they're trying to eliminate this variance that we've seen where, let's just say, men are compensated higher than females or whatever it may be. There are a lot of different examples I can use, but I know that one has been very, very common. So ultimately, the reason for that range usually is based, I know in our case, it's based on a contracted rate with a client. And the pay rate is what a pay rate is. But with a lot of your public entities and your large organizations, it's based on that qualification requirement and the skill set of the candidate applying. So the other thing that I want to really focus on is the fact that each individual candidate who's offered a job to become an employee, they make their own deal, so to speak, with an employer. So they're going to negotiate. And that negotiation generally looks something like they're trying to get a slight increase in pay over what they made in their last job, or depending on the circumstance, maybe significantly more. In some cases, maybe they were paid extensively in the last role and they know they can't expect that same level of pay. But ultimately, each person, each individual negotiates their salary package with their employer. And I encourage people to get comfortable with that number. Accept an offer you're happy with, be happy with what you got, and go forward. The time to negotiate income is at the beginning of your hire. The other thing I encourage people to do is to discuss and have an agreement around performance evaluations and opportunities for salary increases. What does that look like? What is the cadence? What is the timeline for that to occur? And what's the company policy around pay raises? It's really important to kind of know that stuff up front and realize that there may be somebody in the same role that, let's just say, you're applying for, and they're making substantially more than you are, but they've been there 10 years. So that might be the reason for it. There may be a lot of different reasons for it, but ultimately your deal is your deal. And the last thing I want to kind of point out is that a lot of things in employment aren't negotiable. So for instance, wanting a larger 401k contribution or wanting more paid time off, a lot of those things really aren't negotiable because they're policy bound. There are things that are either regulated by the government or they're bound by policy within the organization. And the reality is as employers, we have to treat our employees the same, give them the same benefits, give them the same opportunities. Now, there are things that you can negotiate, such as bonuses, maybe in some roles, a hiring bonus. There are cases where you may be negotiating a per diem amount if you're a traveler, maybe a reimbursement of professional fees and certification renewal, membership renewal, things like that. So you can think about those things that you can negotiate. But what I encourage everybody to do is negotiate a package that works for you, something you're happy with, something that works for the employer, and be happy with that. Don't talk to other people about what they're making because, again, as I said in the beginning, nothing good comes out of talking to others about what they're making. All it does is create nightmares. It opens cans of worms that I've seen over the years many, many times that have resulted in people actually losing their jobs. So just something to consider. Keep compensation private, make a deal you're happy with, make a deal you're comfortable with, and stick to that deal. And if the time comes that you're offered more money to leave, if you like your employer, I always encourage you to give them last look. Go back and say, hey, I've been offered another job. I'm considering it. They're offering me more money. What can you do? Always give them that opportunity if you like them, because I can guarantee you most often the grass isn't greener on the other side. You're going to go to work for somebody else and you may realize, oh, crap. I really liked working for those guys. They treated me so well. It was only $2 more an hour, but I gave up a great employer. So some things to think about. And in the future, keep compensation confidential, and you'll benefit greatly from that. We'll see you next Wednesday.